Brighten up those dark mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Hello, my old sausage. Morning. Welcome along. British edition of Mornings at the Cabin today. Mr. Wheeler is in bed. Mr. Williams is awake. And Mr. Leckerman joins us in the studio. Morning, Scott.
My old sausage? You've never called me that before.
Yeah, me old sausage. Welcome along. Very endearing British term.
It's pretty cute. It's a little dirty. It's a little gross.
Take it at face value, it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, an old sausage.
I'd rather be a fresh sausage, but you know what?
Fresh bacon?
Yeah. Better than just a casing.
There you go.
Empty casing.
It's alright, me old tin of Spam. Doesn't really have quite the same. Doesn't roll off the tongue. Really, you shouldn't let a sausage roll off your tongue, of course. You should chew and then digest.
That's right. Of course, up here it'd be my old click.
My old click? Yeah. Interesting.
The old tin of click.
Very clicky approach. Morning, everybody. We had a lovely compliment yesterday from Jim at Fiddles and Sticks. Morning to Jim. Morning to Fiddles and Sticks.
What'd Jim say?
Jim said how good we're sounding these days.
Oh, really?
Jim's been enjoying listening to the show.
Lovely.
He's saying, I don't know if it's just your microphones. I was like, I think it's actually the caliber of the stuff. But I enjoyed the fact that he was quite sure it was the caliber of the microphones that was making the radio station sound good.
I mean, it doesn't sound like he was going for an upsell. Doesn't sound like he was like, you guys sound okay, but with some new microphones.
Let me take you over to this. Yeah. Jim didn't need to worry about an upsell yesterday, and we'll come on to that a little later in the show, because we need to discuss my abilities to try to relearn the piano at the age of 36.
Okay.
Yep. That's coming up. We will, of course, touch on the Burger Week winners. Burger Week yesterday, big total announced for Food First Foundation as well. And there's a Lynx and a bingo brawl just tossed in there as well. Oh, what a day for news.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Songs that don't make it out of the gate when Jesse Wheeler's running the morning show. Genesis, Trick of the Tail. Mornings at the Cabin, 7:14 on your Wednesday morning, minus 35 outside. Ollie and Lecter with you. Lecter raising a very valid point. I was just describing the lyrics of Trick of the Tail there, and this is solid 1970s Phil Collins prog rock at its best, Genesis. That entire song basically about a mythical beast that is discovered on a trail, and nobody can figure out where it came from. It tries to convince everybody that it lives somewhere else in the clouds, and nobody really believes it. And the beast basically spends the chorus wishing that it hadn't really come in the first place and feels like it should never have left. And, as Lecter pointed out, that one goes out to the Lynx this morning.
Yeah.
It probably feels... It's been wandering around for the last couple of days, being like, none of this feels familiar. No,
yeah.
Just, I don't think this is where I thought I was going to be.
I don't know if the Lynx is sick of Yellowknife quite yet. I mean, frankly, it's still a pretty short visit. It just got here.
You can't even quickly pop one puppy
without
someone kneeling on you for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, from the reactions we've seen, and I mean, like, a lynx is a bobcats. Lynx are fairly NWT northern creatures, but it does kind of feel like it's had this mythological beast type feel to it, doesn't it?
It's just, I mean, we had this with the Wolverine a few months ago. When animals pop up in Yellowknife and then sort of settle in for an extended stay.
Yes.
You occasionally you'll have a sighting and be like, oh, there's a coyote over there. Or, oh, there's a wolverine on the outskirts of town. Or,
right.
I saw a lynx.
And
or
wolf
it's like,
on Long Lake.
Yeah, you saw a lynx. Oh, that's cool. Wolf on Long Lake. Wow. But this is like, not only did I see a lynx, but if I open up my Facebook page, I've got 904 different angles of the lynx. And like some of the video footage of it just strolling down streets with like F-150s up behind it.
Oh,
and it just sort of looks over his shoulder. It's like, all right, bud.
Just not caring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, and that, the sort of the gait that a lynx has, you know, the way that it just sort of slinks down the street.
Sashaying.
Yeah. It owns the place.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And
I mean, typical cat.
Yeah, absolutely. Typical cat, just a little bit larger.
Yeah. Yellowknife is just its house.
Yeah.
And it's just prowling around like it owns the place.
Yeah. Which is just captivating to watch.
It is.
And then especially when you start hearing these stories, this woman, this is on our website if you haven't read this yet, describing saving an 8-pound puppy from the jaws of this lynx on Monday evening and then sitting on it. Now, my favorite part of this whole story, you should go read it if you haven't already. It'll be on the Lunchtime News today as well, the tape of the interview. So Shania, the woman involved, gets hold of this lynx because it tries to basically snack on a puppy. and she liberates the puppy called Arlo. Bless Arlo.
No.
Arlo naps off into the distance. Boyfriend pursues Arlo into the distance while girlfriend remains leaning on Lynx. After some minutes pass, she's calling out for help because the boyfriend, of course, had to go rescue the puppy, so she's now all on her own atop a Lynx.
Yeah.
And someone comes out from the nearby townhomes. And eventually, sort of, this situation unfolds. They end up going to get lacrosse sticks as a means of protecting themselves when they let the Lynx go. So the plan becomes that you're gonna get off that Lynx and book it over to where I am.
Yes.
We are each gonna have lacrosse sticks, and if the Lynx turns around and tries to exact some sort of revenge on this situation, we're gonna be able to fend it off with lacrosse sticks. Canada's national sport. Everybody is drilled in what to do in an emergency involving a lacrosse stick. Everyone's good, right?
Yeah.
So that was fine, but then in the comments beneath our story, see, Shania didn't know the man's identity. She wasn't able to give him any credit and say thanks so-and-so for coming to my... Because she never got the guy's name. But in the comments, people did know who it was.
Right.
And it was Kyle Aviak.
Oh, hey.
Now, do you know Kyle?
I don't know Kyle, no.
Okay, well, Kyle Aviak is a former member of the Kuluktuk Grizzlies.
Okay.
So the Grizzlies, movie that came out a couple of years ago, tells the story of starting a lacrosse team in Kuluktuk. So this guy was played by an actor in this fictional depiction. It was this really well-received movie, The Grizzlies.
Right.
And he is in the movie, but an actor plays him.
Wow.
In this lacrosse team in Kuluktuk. And here he is all these years later, after growing up in Kuluktuk and being part of the Grizzlies lacrosse team, which is a real thing. Here he is with his lacrosse sticks still to hand, using them to fend off a Lynx on Tin Can Hill.
Wow. Glad it was Kyle and not the actor who played him.
Right.
That guy probably would have been like, I don't actually know how to do this.
How embarrassing. Here's a situation that clearly calls for lacrosse sticks, and I just never learned. It was just a sequence of cleverly edited cutaways.
So, yeah, the story's on cabinradio.ca, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday morning, but we only had like very, very preliminary details as to what happened. So she was holding this Lynx down for like 20 minutes?
She says it felt like it was 20 minutes to her. Obviously, nobody had a clock on it.
Right.
I think there is a chance that it could have been. And I don't mean this to diminish her story in any way, but we've all been in situations where your adrenaline was going so much that you feel like you were there for an eternity.
Right.
And maybe it was
with
actually...
no end in sight.
Right. Maybe it was actually 6 or 7 minutes, but I don't think that diminishes that. You know what I mean? Like, have you held a Lynx down for 6 minutes lately? I feel like it was probably not the easiest task in the world.
It's hard to hold a house cat down for 6 minutes.
Right? Well, she didn't initially know it was a Lynx. Yeah. So she saw something attacking her puppy.
Right.
And she said she got a hold of it, held it down. And only when this guy came from the townhomes to help did he point out, you're on a Lynx there. And she looks down and like, oh, so I am.
So I am. The places you find yourself in Yellowknife.
Right, you are. I am kneeling on a Lynx right now. And here I was thinking this was just an unruly piece of carpet.
Yeah, he kept telling me he was a dog, that he'd, just had a irresponsible owner. But these Lynxes, they're crafty.
Yeah. He was spinning a yarn underneath me down there. Yeah. My name's Trapper. I'm from the local shelter. No, you're not. You're a Lynx. Go on.
So day one was a bit turbulent for the Lynx of its Yellowknife vacation.
I feel like the Lynx is having a fascinating public relations roller coaster ride through Yellowknife. Day one, like most of Monday, Lynx is flavor of the month. Yes. Everybody's like, the Lynx, I want to see the Lynx. Why haven't I seen the Lynx? Doesn't the Lynx like me? But I love the Lynx. So on and so forth. I went skiing on Monday afternoon and was affronted that it wasn't anywhere on the Frame Lake Trail while I was skiing past. Yeah. Okay, everybody was either loving the fact that they'd seen the Lynx or hating the fact they hadn't. Now suddenly Tuesday comes along, Lynx turns out to be a would-be puppy murderer, and everybody's like, oh, the Lynx. Well, they need to deal with it. You know, the crowd forms with baseball bats. Yeah, it's a full-on, it's a lesson in modern public relations.
And just like that, the Lynx is canceled.
Lynx canceled. Although Lynx is not canceled, because as far as we know, still out there this morning. Who knows what Wednesday will bring? Maybe Wednesday it will fully rehabilitate its reputation. It'll be caught, passing candy to babies, and everybody will be like, oh, bless it, it cares.
I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, you kind of only have yourself to blame. The Lynx was all but leading a parade right down Franklin Avenue.
That would be amazing. If
what else does it have to do?
Municipal enforcement at about 11 o'clock today, leading a procession with, 100 people with banners behind the Lynx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome, Lynx.
You know what? In this city, that could happen.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast. Hey, It was early. What do you want from us?
So, I have embarked upon a new artistic endeavor.
Okay.
Yesterday, I could be found at about 4:30 in the afternoon, loading the cheapest available piano into the back of the truck.
Okay.
And that has now been set up in the living room. And we're going to recapture our former 11-year-old glory. Because there I was, grade 5, grade 6, and I reached grade 5 piano. So, you know, how it works in grades. You go like grade 1 to grade 8. This
Not really. I took piano lessons as a youngster myself. But I don't know. I might have flunked out in grade 1. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't make it far.
Okay. That's very much like me in guitar.
Yeah.
I spent about 3 months doing guitar lessons, and then like, this is not like guitars and I were not meant to be together.
Yeah, they just don't make the sounds that, you know, the guys on TV and the radio make. Like,
they most certainly do not.
every other guitar must be broken. I'm right with you.
And my fingers hurt, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that.
Yeah.
But piano, I managed to get to grade 5. So once you get to grade 8 basically means you can put any sort of music down in front of you,
Okay.
and you'd be fine.
Gotcha.
Grade 5 is like competent?
Right.
Question mark?
Yeah.
You know, like,
you could read music.
yeah, can read music. Has clearly demonstrated ability to do sort of very basic things. Is okay.
Might take a few passes to get through a whole song, but
Yeah, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Okay.
so I got that far, and then the moment that the opportunity presented itself to no longer have to do exams,
yes.
bailed
Yeah.
immediately.
Did you want to take piano lessons, or was this a Babs trying to expand her young boy's artistic
I
brain?
mean, I imagine there was probably some of that. I think I wanted to as well, though, because we always had a Hammond organ
wow.
in the house.
Cool.
And so my mum, I mean, I say a Hammond organ, maybe it's not a Hammond organ. Mum, what kind of organ was it? You're probably listening. I don't know. We've heard some fascinating Babs Williams instrument-related stories on this show. Let's see if we can get another one in.
Well, if it's a Hammond, that's pretty badass.
Well, that's true. It was certainly. I know that the aspiration was always like around Hammond organs. My mum was a big Hammond organ fan, so we had an organ in the house.
Okay.
Yeah, with like the pedals and everything like that, where you can actually play notes on the pedals of an organ, all that sort of stuff. Oh, it's a gorgeous instrument.
You know, if you just say if we had an organ, if you just say that fast enough, it kind of sounds like Hammond organ. So, you know.
Yeah, had an organ.
Had an organ.
Yeah. Okay, good. That gives me enough grey area to work with. and my mum always loved playing that, and I think that inspired me a little bit as well. And I got into it. I remember my piano teacher. I remember I used to get really nervous about piano exams.
Oh, yeah.
All that sort of stuff. So eventually I bailed on it.
Did they call them piano exams in the UK? Not. They call them recitals.
No.
Over here.
I mean, a recital to me would mean like playing on stage for an audience.
Yeah, that was kind of what it was.
You see that we had to separately go and take examinations where you'd go in front of a board of examiners and play the piano for them and them alone.
Examiners,
and they would issue you with your grade 1, grade 2, grade 3.
Oh my lord!
So yeah, we would play recitals in terms of like going out and playing for your parents and everything, and big auditorium. But yeah, the actual exams were just for like these, you can imagine
in
it
a stuffy basement in a church.
Yeah,
somewhere.
like take the critic out of Ratatouille, you know, and like sit 3 of them behind a desk, and they're all there. You know, they all like the light has long since gone out of their eyes,
right?
And they're just being subjected to an endless stream of 8-year-olds like hacking their way through classics. Yeah, there's no way to spend an afternoon for anybody involved.
Who would not get nervous,
right? So yeah, I was never a fan of that. Anyway, I gave it up by the age of about 12 or 13.
Right.
I've sporadically tried to get back into it. I think in my mid-20s, I learned to play 1 Billy Joel track and 1 REM track.
Was it Piano Man?
No.
Oh.
Scenes from an Italian Restaurant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was very good at the opening minute and a half. About a minute and a half into Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, Billy Joel fully goes off the deep end on piano.
Yeah.
And there's this wonderful solo that, let me tell you right now, is not reproducible by me. Because no matter how much I tried to he just plays too fast. The actual song, if you listen to Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, about a minute and a half in, it just goes nuts. And he is playing that piano too fast for my brain or hands to deal.
I think the tape's just sped up. It's not you, it's Billy.
Sure. If you tell yourself that, I am not convinced by that for 1 second. So I did all that. This week, I just sat there and thought to myself, I'm going to give it another go.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went and got a cheap little keyboard and installed it in the house and discovered that there is there is a Genesis anthology of sheet music in the house.
Of course
I knew there
is.
would be somewhere. I rummaged for long enough. I like, this is exactly the kind of thing that I will have kept, knowing full well that some future Ollie would want to be able to play Genesis songs on piano. And there it is. So Trick of the Tail, which we heard earlier this morning, is the first one I'm going to learn.
All right.
So I've got Trick of the Tail up on the keyboard at home right now. And I got a bar into it last night.
Yeah?
Yeah, I learned the opening bar of Trick of the Tail.
Amazing.
Yep. That was after 7 minutes. And after 7 minutes, I was like, right, my hands hurt.
I think I speak for all of our cabin fan and listenership when I say this sounds like a live stream thing.
I'm sorry, what?
I think you should live stream your piano lessons.
Why? No, that's like being the board of examiners. Nobody wants to be the board of examiners. I don't want you to hear it.
We all want to be your board of examiners, but we'll be nice. We won't, we're not actually going to judge you. I think everyone just kind of misses COVID Corner a little bit, and this would be, like a little bit of a replacement of that.
My mother writes to say we had various different organs, but yes, Hammond. So there you go.
So like liver.
Yeah, I thought that as well. I was like, yes, I'm aware we have other organs.
Right.
But yeah, like not just the exterior one. But yeah, so apparently we went through a few different organs as a kid. But yeah, Hammond organ. There you go. It was under the stairs. So you'd go up, it was like an alcove under the stairs leading up.
Right.
And I'd be like trying to get to sleep at 9 o'clock at night, and you'd just hear the organ. My mum particularly loved to try to play a song called I'm Going to Sit Right Down and Write Myself a Letter.
Okay.
And there was one note in that track that, with monotonous regularity, my mum just would never quite nail.
Oh.
And would then like come round for a second pass at it. And I'd be lying, like 10, 11 years old in bed trying to get to sleep. The song would stop and it would go back a bar or two and would go back, give her another pass.
Right.
And then get waved off. And then it would go round for a third pass. And by like the 7th or the 8th one, the correct note would be landed upon. And then the rest of the song would play. But it was always a fascinating experience.
Yeah. So did you enjoy playing piano?
Yeah, you know what?
Was it just like kind of the nervousness and the stuffiness of the piano examination?
Frankly, didn't want the stress of that.
Yeah.
It's very noticeable that I carried on drumming, where I was not asked to do any exams.
Right.
And still play now.
Yeah.
And played for years and years and years. And like love it and got relatively proficient at it. Whereas piano, I bailed on because I was having the stress of I've got to go and do these exams.
Right.
And like I'm not blaming anybody for that. Like that's my fault. I could perfectly well have stopped doing the exams and just carried on learning the piano. I just didn't think to do that.
Right.
And now I'm sort of the archetypal adult who reaches a certain stage in life and starts to wonder, why did I stop learning other languages? Why did I stop playing piano? Why did I stop doing all the things that now would be useful and exciting to have?
Well, that's exciting that you're doing it again. You're picking it back up. Yeah, I think that's a lot of something that a lot of people, would like to do, but either just don't find the time to do, or like it seems too intimidating maybe to get back into it now, or yada yada yada. Myself, I actually was forced into piano lessons.
Okay.
It was a Lynn Letkeman. If you're going to play hockey, you have to do something to develop the other side of your brain, and piano lessons was what was on the menu. I always hated piano lessons because I didn't think piano was cool enough.
It's funny how that flips, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how you get later in life, you're like, what would be really cool to be able to do?
Yeah.
Play the piano. And then when you're 11 or 12, you're like, what the least cool thing in my life is right now? Playing this piano.
And you know what? She told me at a young age when I protested profusely. And she was like, and eventually I just wore her down and she gave up. She was like, fine, you don't have to take piano lessons anymore. I was like, thank you. That's all I ever wanted. She's like, you're going to regret it one day, And I was always like, okay, Mom. Yeah, sure. I'm going to regret not giving up my time, my free time where I could be playing more hockey. I'm going to regret, giving that up. And, at about age like 25, I look back, like I really regret it.
Yep.
She was right. That was a long play, and she got me.
The regret sets in.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to deal with that. I'll keep you all updated, and I will absolutely not provide any live broadcast or audio samples until maybe 5 years have elapsed and I've learned to play one song. We're going at a bar a week right now, so, give me time.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast, where we cut out all the great music and you're left with the rest.
Ollie Lecter, and now joined by Sarah. Hello.
Hello.
And Penny. Hello. Yeah, microphones never really pick up.
She's busy getting scratches.
She's busy getting scratches. And so, first of all, just describe for us briefly the crusty situation that Penny has found herself in.
Well, she's clean now, but on Monday night, I was boiling down some barbecue sauce for some ribs, and I had just taken it off the stove, so it wasn't like boiling, which is good because there's a lot of sugar in that, so it would have been real hot.
Oh, yeah.
And Penny made her way into the kitchen where she's not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows she's not supposed to be in there. And I think she kind of like jumped up on my friend or got in the way. And he spun around and hit the sauce.
Oh, no.
And the handle of the pot was like turned into the stove. Like it wasn't out. Which my mom was always like, always make sure you turn your handles in.
Yeah.
So it definitely was in. But still like somehow elbowed it. And it went flying, like literally everywhere. And I was on the phone with my dad. And I kind of just heard the crash. And I turned around. And barbecue sauce dripping down the stove, dripping down the walls, all over the floor, all over the dog, all over the carpet in the living room, the whole room away, all the way to the fireplace, which is a good, 3-4 meters, would you say? My house probably at least 4.
Mm-hmm. You drilled
on the ceiling in the living room. They just splattered all over, like just specks of barbecue sauce.
Good God.
Everywhere. So, yeah, immediately cleaned the whole house. Desperately called AJ and E-Man. I was like, I know you guys have a little, carpet cleaner machine. Like, can I borrow that? I'm coming over right now.
Whenever there's a carpet in need, AJ suddenly stirs.
Yeah, I said to AJ yesterday, I was like, even if you guys hadn't answered your phones, I would have just, broken into your house anyways and come and gotten it. And he was like, that would have been the right thing to do.
Oh, my God.
What a result for Penny. What a result for Penny. Just barbecue sauce exploding from the walls, the ceiling.
Yeah, I had 3 dogs all licking the carpet in the living room.
Yeah.
They looked like cattle grazing. Finally got everything cleaned up. Had to pull the stove out and clean under the stove. There's just barbecue sauce everywhere.
Wow.
Did all that, ate dinner, and I was like, oh wait, I bet the dog is kind of sticky. By that time, the sticky barbecue sauce had hardened in her fur.
Oh.
And at one point, too, in the living room, she was, rolling on her back with her legs in the air, scratching her back to really, work the sauce in. So I think at that point, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have to give her a bath later. And then by the end of the night, I was like, I do not have the energy to give this dog a bath. So I just left her as a crusty puppy. Brought her into work on Tuesday morning. And I was like, this is what happened, guys.
I definitely thought you said she was broiling on her back at first. I was like, wow.
That's what happens once you've basted her.
Yeah, right.
You can then just afford to put her on the spit and then gently rotate.
She's already marinated.
Yeah.
Halfway there.
Yeah, the Lynx, meanwhile, is popping a napkin on and just getting the cutlery out.
Yes, that's what Louise, our intern, had joked, was that we'd marinated Penny for the Lynx.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Lynx.
The Lynx.
Puppy a day keeps the doctor away.
Oh.
So yeah, anyways, gave Penny a bath last night. She handles it well.
Yeah.
I have to lift her in. And then she just stands there and looks really sad and lets me scrub her down. But she still got barbecue sauce in her eyebrows because I didn't put water on her eyes and stuff when I was bathing her, but I need to go back with a cloth because it's still she's still just a teensy bit crusty there. But she's very fluffy today. I brushed her last night after her bath, and now
she is very fluffy. That was a delightful little pet sesh I was having with her earlier.
All the week brings us to Burger Week. Now that we've discussed
Ribs,
marinating in
burgers.
barbecue sauce. Yeah. I did just want to briefly give another huge shout out one final time to everybody involved with Burger Week. 3,483 burgers eaten in the week and a half that Burger Week was this year, which is $7,847 for the Food First Foundation. Good on you, Yellowknife.
So we about doubled last year's total.
More than double the number of burgers eaten.
Wow.
More than doubled the amount of money raised.
That's awesome.
Yep. Very, very cool. I think Copper House alone did something shifted 750 burgers, something like that.
Wow.
Quite remarkable listening to all the figures come in from that. I think 430 people ended up entering passports, which also, I was doing the math on that, suggests that a lot of burgers got eaten by people who didn't even really want to win the prizes. They just wanted the burgers, which is also good. We're happy to do that.
It was also quite remarkable watching you do the prize draws on the Facebook Live yesterday. Here I was thinking we only had 3 prizes. And there were just prizes coming out of the woodwork. What was that? There was 12, 15 prizes or something that you gave away in total?
Yeah, it must have been. And even
where did all those come from?
Gift cards for Zahabisha who weren't even in Burger Week, but it's still donated $100 in gift cards. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's very, very cool. we gave away a whole bunch of prizes, and the grand prize winner for the 2-night trip to Blatchford Lake Lodge, Michelle Remigio. So, Michelle, if you're listening, you didn't know yet. I'm sure you've been told by your friends by this point anyway. But congratulations to you. You get to go to Blatchford Lake Lodge for a couple of nights. We had an overnight stay at the Explorer Hotel was in there as well. And we had a trip to Aurora Village was in there. Whole bunch of good stuff. If you want to go check out more about that, it is on our website, cabinradio.ca. You can watch the grand prize draw as well, because like this says, there are like more than a dozen prizes in there, and I do not have a list in front of me. So if you want to know if you won, go and watch the live stream. It's a pretty rapid fire prize draw. You'll be fine. It'll take 10 minutes out of your life. Find out if you won. Thank you, everybody, for buying burgers, supporting Burger Week. Congrats to the Food First Foundation. $7,800 going to help kids' nutrition in the North.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Mornings at the Cabin brought to you by Aurora Ford Driving the North, and also brought to you by bingo players driving everybody insane. Quite crazy madcap antics at a bingo in Inuvik over the weekend, which was supposed to be for Arctic Paws, which is basically a pet charity. They run subsidized spay neuter clinics across the Beaufort Delta, and those cost quite a bit of money to run, so they have bingos every now and again to raise some money for that, except they're not going to have bingos anymore because the one they tried to hold at the weekend ended in threats and acrimony.
Sometimes you just can't have nice things.
Like bingos.
Like bingos.
See, I wouldn't have thought bingos were even that nice a thing. I mean, I get it that people enjoy them, but like when I think of nice things, I don't. We're even losing bingos off that list now. So what happened was, well, from what I understand, is that people saw a ball in the chute at the bingo.
Yeah.
But the number then didn't end up getting called for whatever reason. So everybody was certain that this number was coming up, but it didn't end up getting called. It didn't end up being placed on the board. And so people began to get very angry because they'd sort of already dabbed off that number. And I guess, if it's on your sheet and you thought, I'm one closer to it, whatever. But it didn't end up being part of the official result. And so at the end, there was all this confusion, bit of chaos. And to quote from the Arctic Paws Facebook post, people came to the Dome, the building where they were running this, demanding refunds and threatening the safety and lives of the volunteers and workers.
Bingo's no joke.
The harassment continued into the evening and extended to the town lottery officer in her own home, the Facebook post added. This is nuts.
Like, that's a little far,
So incredibly weird. They had to refund $500 to people. They never normally do refunds, and refunds are not really a thing in bingo.
Right.
But they gave out $500 just for the sheer pressure of the angry mob, basically. And now community members are coming forward and trying to top up that cash by giving the charity money again, because of course that's money that was supposed to be used to help run spay and neuter clinics.
Now, being two, fairly inexperienced bingo analysts.
Yep, that's fair. Hasn't stopped me with other sports, but sure, we'll roll up our sleeves and get involved here.
Sarah, I don't know your expertise on bingo and the shoot numbers.
No, my bingo experience is limited to French class, where you try and learn the words, or whatever. Although I was in Weaver and DeVore's last night buying a bunch of mitts and hats and stuff for cross country and WT, and they kept having to stop counting my order because people kept coming in to buy their bingo cards. And I was but I'm in line. You're working on. I want to pay for all these
mitts.
mitts.
You can buy that stuff anytime. Bingo cards.
But kept getting interrupted by all these people that they had to ring through with all their bingo cards instead. So I was there at the till for, I don't know, at least half an hour.
Angry mob of one person fights back at bingo players.
I just want to buy mitts for kids.
Well, and the Weaver staff may have just heard this story and they're like, we're not dealing with that. No, sorry, you can wait. These are bingo players, and I don't know if
very much how it felt like. Yeah. Anyways, that's my experience with bingo.
So I don't know, the number being in the chute but not being called yet. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even 100% sure what the chute refers to.
Basically the plastic chute that is between the the crate with all the balls in, and then it gets popped up to the top.
Okay. So it's like these are in numbers in queue, essentially, that are going to be called, and seemed like a lot of people were very confidently anticipating that would be the case.
Yeah. And then for whatever reason it got overlooked or it just didn't happen. and the proverbial hit the fan.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that if it happened in an NHL hockey game, you get the feeling, the officials made some sort of terrible call. It would have been like replayed 37 times on TV. The announcers would have sounded somewhat surprised, but also, enjoying the moment because everybody loves a good screw up by the officials.
That's right.
And that's how that would have gone down. But then you got to get on with the game.
Yeah. Coach might have thrown a water bottle on the ice or something. Maybe got tossed out of the game, but then you carry on.
Yeah. Not in this instance. And now no more bingos.
Yeah.
Big pause. What people, that great northern phrase, give your head a shake.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of lose sight at some point when it's for charity.
Yeah.
It's raising money for charity.
Volunteers raising money for charity.
Yeah.
I
feel like that narrative was lost a little bit in this.
I think, generally speaking, if you're harassing people at their own homes at the end of a bingo, it's time to revisit some life choices.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, we see, on Wednesday, early Wednesday afternoons, we see people start to lining up at the Tree of Peace here.
Well,
just outside our windows. Bingo is no joke.
We're missing an opportunity there because at the moment the Tree of Peace is the emergency overnight shelter.
Oh, right.
While the Salvation Army is being patched up.
Right.
So there are no bingos until further notice because that's the room that's being used for the shelter.
Right.
So Cabin Radio, which is only just round the corner, should really have become Bingo Central by now.
Oh, wow.
Well, there must be some bingo going on because all these people yesterday were buying bingo cards at Weaver's.
Oh, Weaver Door.
Like television bingo?
Maybe
radio
TV
bingo.
Radio bingo. Still a thing. Again, Cabin Radio, it's right there in the name. We could get involved in some of that stuff. How about that, CRTC? Any closer to an FM license? Have we promised to run some good bingos? And we won't even threaten anyone?
I feel like we incite enough brawls on our Facebook comment section.
True.
I don't know if we want to invite the bingo chaos into that.
Okay, we're gonna draw a line at our Facebook page, and we're not gonna get involved in weaponizing the bingo industry in the north. All right, it's been our very pleasure being with you this morning. That is Lecter, also Sarah, me, and the less crunchy Penelope. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7. See you then.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca and by following the Mornings at the Cabin Facebook page.